Hey guys, Chris from Adaptation here, and this is video number 9 of my PoA MCQ prep for the July 2020 CSEC exams. If you want to see all of the other videos I've done in this series, I'm going to put a card right up there with a link to the playlist. This video is going to focus exclusively on manufacturing accounts. I have a video where I explain the basics of manufacturing accounts and go through a few examples. If you need to see that video, I'm going to put another card up there and a link in the description below, so you can check that out if you need to go over all of the basics and some of the intermediate stuff. Okay guys, so no long intro today. I have about 30 questions, which is the largest number of questions I've done for any of these MCQ videos, so I want to get into it right away. Okay, so question 1. So it says some entities manufacture or produce goods for sale rather than buy goods to resell them. Well, those are manufacturing entities. What are the components of the cost of goods produced or manufactured? So cost of goods manufactured. So if you've seen that video that I was talking about just now, if you know your manufacturing stuff, we have 3 components: prime cost or direct cost, overheads or indirect cost, and the work in process adjustment. So materials, labor, and other costs seems very tempting. Salaries, wages, depreciation, power, taxes, all that stuff seems well and good. But this is where the money is. Direct or prime costs, indirect costs or overheads, and I'm going to highlight it in yellow, right? And the work in process adjustment. And we have, of course, factory costs and selling and admin. We know that one is definitely not part of it, because anything that is non-manufacturing does not form part of the cost of goods manufactured. Cool. So let's scroll down to number 2 and take a look. So we said we have prime costs or direct costs. What are those? So a prime cost is any cost that is directly and easily attributable or traceable to units of output, right? So once again, if you need to go and check out that other video, I'm going to strongly suggest that you do so. If you are comfortable with manufacturing, then let's proceed. All right, so any cost that is difficult to trace to units of output, that is actually indirect costs or overheads. All right, the cost of materials used in production of a good, but not the cost of labor involved now. From the time you start to dance too many words, you're looking for trouble. Number 3, let's take a read. Let's scroll up, right, so we can put number 3 there. So what 3 items can be classified as prime or direct cost items? So direct costs, your prime costs, you have 3 components: direct materials, direct labor, and other direct costs. So materials, labor, and other direct costs. Other direct costs, well, actually I have a question coming up a bit later, and you'll see what some of those are. Let's scroll across to number 4. Which of the following contains only prime or direct cost items? Okay, this is an interesting one. So supervisor salary, depreciation, electricity, those are all indirect. Direct power, direct expenses, overhead. So direct power is not a direct cost, it's electricity. So you can't trace that to units of output. Or maybe you can, but for all purposes, no. Direct expenses, that was a nice little misdirect there, misdirect. But overheads definitely causes that one to be eliminated from consideration. Materials, labor, other direct. Yeah, well, there you go. Right, so this is basically like a kind of duplicate of the previous question. Once again, asking the same thing, but asking it in a different way. So just pay attention. Let's take a look at number 5. If total materials issued into production amounted to 500,000, out of which 100,000 worth ended up as indirect materials, what value would have ended up as direct? So total materials was 500,000. 100,000 out of it went to indirect, which means the balance, 400,000, had to have been direct. Oh look, that's option A. How nice. Number 6. Which of the following items, has items that can all be classified as other direct costs? Okay, so I'm going to go right ahead and say this is option B. License fees, copyright fees, franchise fees, trademark fees, any subscriptions, all that kind of stuff. These are items that need to be paid for permission to use something in your production process, and that is directly traceable to units of output, or attributable, attributable to them. So let's put that in our yellow, and let's go down to question 7. I'm going to scroll back across if I have not already done so. So what is an indirect or overhead cost? So this is a cost that is not directly or easily traceable or attributable to units of finished goods or units of output. So it is a cost that cannot be directly or easily, So it is a cost that cannot be directly or easily traced to a unit of output. That's what an indirect cost or an overhead cost is. They have none of the above to catch anybody who's not sure. All right. I see you. All right, number 8. Which of the following contains items that are all indirect or overhead cost items? All right, so factory wages, factory wages is usually direct. Materials consumed is usually direct. License fees is also direct. Direct labor, direct materials, franchise fees, everything there is direct. License fees, franchise fees, copyright fees, that's also just other direct costs. Here we go. Rent, indirect labor, factory power. None of those things are directly or easily traceable or found on the finished good. All right. Number 9. Why is the wage of an assembly line worker in a factory not classified as an overhead cost item? So an assembly line worker is a worker who works on the product, who puts the product together. And hence his or her labor is directly traceable or attributable to units of output. So here we are. It's not a manufacturing cost. Of course, an assembly line worker's wage is a manufacturing cost because it is a direct cost. Well, yeah, that's the answer. It's a direct cost. Long story short, oops, what have I done there? All right, because it cannot be easily and directly traced to finished units. Well, that's actually the opposite. It can be easily and directly traced to finished units. Because indirect costs do not include any labor costs whatsoever. Nope, that's a red herring for those who don't know their work and looking for a long-winded item to give. Okay, number 10. The total labor cost of a factory amounted to 750,000. Out of this, 650 was classified as direct wages. What was the amount that should be classified as indirect? So, total labor was 750. Out of it, 650 was direct. It means the remainder was indirect. That's 100. Why would depreciation on office equipment not be charged to the manufacturing account as part of factory overhead? You notice it says office equipment. So even if your factory has an office and the office is in charge of admin stuff, payroll, filing, taking orders, that kind of stuff, that's not it's not activity geared towards manufacturing or production of goods. So the straight answer there would be because it is not part of the manufacturing process, which is option D, because it is on office equipment. Right? The depreciation is on office equipment, which is not involved in the manufacturing process. All right, number 12. The table below has cost information for a manufacturing entity. So what we have here: depreciation, factory wages, cleaners, direct materials, factory power, copyright fees, indirect materials. What do we want? Calculate total overhead charges. So overheads are anything that's not direct. So depreciation, cleaners, wages, factory power, indirect materials. So 150 and 75 is 225, 225 and 300 is 525, 525 and 200 is 725. There you go. Alright, so I hope you guys follow. I hope I'm not going too quickly. I am trying to move kind of fast because in looking at my previous videos, I realized I was in some cases over explaining and taking a bit long, like now. So let's get back to the question, shall we? What is work in process? So work in process, when you start making something, you might finish it. Other times you might not finish making it, but you might have piece of it done. That is called a work in process. For example, many of you might be trying to study. And when you're studying, you might be doing a past paper. Let's say there were 5 questions in that past paper, or 60 in multiple choice. Let's say you did 40 and you had to go and use the bathroom, or you had to go and get something to eat, or your mom or your dad or somebody called you to do something. Well, you haven't finished your past paper. It's a work in process or a work in progress. Work in process, work in progress, same thing. Okay. So, it is a special manufacturing cost. No, it refers to output that have been completed but not yet sold. No, work in process is incomplete. It refers to the raw materials used in production. No. It refers to units of output that have been started into production but not come. Yes, there you go. Where should work in process be included in the statement of financial position or balance sheet? So work in process is, well, like I said, goods that are incomplete, which we are going to complete and going to end up selling. And they are collections of materials, labor, and overhead collections of cost. So those are assets, and more specifically, current assets, because we expect to turn them into finished goods within a year, most likely. All right. Going down, number 15, right? If we add direct materials consumed, direct labor, other direct costs and overheads, what is the name given to those items? So materials consumed, labor, other direct overheads, right? So so prime costs. So by the way, when you add up all your direct costs, you get prime costs. Prime cost plus overheads, that is your current period's production cost, or current production cost, all right? There are other names for it, but I'm not going to get into all those different names. Number 16. The correct way to adjust current production costs incurred for work in process is right. So your work in process. So any work in process brought forward from the previous period will be completed before anything new is started. So we have to add those costs to our current period production costs. Current period's production costs. Any work in process at end means stuff we had started, costs went in there but wasn't finished. So we have to take that out in order to find cost of finished goods manufactured. So you have to add your work in process at start, but minus your work in process at end. 17. After current production cost incurred is adjusted for work in process, the name given to that figure is cost of goods manufactured or cost of goods produced. Or cost of finished goods manufactured, cost of finished goods transferred to income statement, trading account. Number 18, right? The cost of goods manufactured figure usually replaces what item in the income statement. So if we are making goods, chances are we are not purchasing goods. So that figure will replace the purchases figure in the income statement. Right, again, I apologize if you feel like I'm going too quickly. It arises 18 questions and it's only about 12 minutes or 30 minutes into it. I'll tell you why I'm rushing a little bit. All right, so based on the information in the table below, what is the value of direct labor incurred? Direct labor, so factory supervisors, indirect. I used to have trouble kind of wrapping my mind around this when I was back in Form 5, right? The factory supervisor does not actually work on the assembly line manufacturing or making goods. He or she supervises. They set up schedules, they do paperwork, that kind of stuff, which is usually not directly involved in production. The admin or office worker, once again, admin work, not production work. A machine operator is somebody who literally operates a machine. Now, it's not just to say you press a button and the machine turns on, although that is what happens in some cases. But it could be somebody who may be working a piece of machinery that, like a tool, maybe like an angle grinder or a saw or whatever the case is. So they are operating that machine and making products. Assembly line workers. So an assembly line is where there is this big kind of what you call it's a conveyor belt, or you'll have seen it, right? It's a moving belt, and on it you have parts of the product and people have to do things to it to put it together or to finish, whatever the case is. So those two types of labor are directly involved in the production of finished goods. Oh, sorry, right, I have to add them. That's going to give us 190. Right. Number 20, based on the information in the table below, what is the value of gross profit? So you have sales, so you have to minus cost of goods sold. So stock, finished goods is as you open in stock of goods, right? You have closing stock, so we need production costs of goods completed, and you have purchases. So this is based on an actual question, right? And we normally are told that when people are manufacturing goods, they don't purchase finished goods to sell. But the thing is, sometimes they do. If that's the case, if you have both production costs of goods completed or your cost of goods manufactured and purchases, you have to add both of them in the income statement. So what's going to happen here, you're going to take your opening stock, add these two items, and then subtract the 300. So that's going to give us 950. Yeah, 950 minus 300 is 650. 650 from sales is 1.1 million, sorry. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. All right, 21. So PoA, wink wink nudge nudge, this is supposed to sound like a name, produces goods for sale. The cost of raw materials consumed in production was 20,000. Total overheads were 18 and factory wages totaled 32,000. If the total number of units produced was 3,500, what is the production cost per unit? Cost per unit is total cost divided by total number of units. How do we find total cost? Well, we have materials, we have labor, and we have overheads. We don't have a work in process adjustment, it's just not given to us, so you have to work with what you have. 32 and 18 is 50, 50 and 20 is 70. And we divide that by 3,500. So 70,000 divided by 3,500 is $20 per unit. If my arithmetic is off, please let me know in the comments below. You all do. All right, we're almost home free. That's 70% now. In the manufacturing account, when the opening stock of raw materials is added to the amount for net purchases of raw materials, the total obtained is known as, so opening stock plus purchases as cost of materials available for use in production. Cost of materials available for production. So it kind of mirrors in your trading account where you do opening stock plus purchases or opening stock plus cost of goods manufactured. That's the cost of goods available for sale. But here, the materials are not being sold, they're being used in production. Oops. Trying to get that to line up. Right, okay. Which of the following entities is most likely to have on its statement of financial position, its balance sheet, inventories of raw materials, work in process, and finished goods? So this is also based on the next past paper question, but I changed it slightly. So 3 items of inventory: raw materials, work in process, and finished goods. That is definitely a manufacturing entity. Right? A financial service firm will not have stock. A retailer of consumer goods will have stock of finished goods. Wouldn't need work in process or raw materials. A movie theater, you'd have a stock of Avengers Endgame. Anyhow, use the information entailed below to calculate cost of goods manufactured. Okay, so raw materials at start, plus purchases, plus carriage, minus raw materials at end. All right, that'll actually give us back 70. Plus factory wages, 70 and 60 is 130, plus factory overheads, 130 and 90 is 120. 130 and 90 is 220, sorry. Add this and minus that. So that's going to give us 250. Yeah. I honestly don't see why calculations like this need to be in a multiple choice. That would have been a wonderful manufacturing account to do, a short answer question. Okay, last page here. Okay, so 25, the working to arrive at cost of goods produced or manufactured is, so that is prime cost overheads plus work in process at start minus work in process at end. All right, so using the information entailed below, calculate the cost of goods produced. Cost of goods produced and cost of goods manufactured, same thing. So raw materials, 420. Factory wages, 280. Plus overheads, right, so as a million. Plus 200 minus 100, 1.1 million. All right, I can't really, okay, sorry. What is the cost of goods manufactured? So prime cost plus overheads plus work in process at start minus work in process at end. So this is 2.5 minus 100,000. That's 2.4 million. Oh, I didn't put a number. Oh, yeah, so numbers, okay, so numbers 28, 29, and 30 are all based on this information here. All right, so number 28 is asking, what is the cost of materials available for use? So that's raw materials plus purchases. Well, if you had carriage and you'd add that to, if you had returns, you'd minus that, but you do it. So 475. 475. What is the prime cost? Right, so raw materials consumed plus that, so no other direct, so 900. That's your prime cost. And what is total of production costs incurred? Right, so we need a total here. 900,000 plus, that's 1 million, plus 300, 1.3, and for 1.85? Yep, 1.85. Alright guys, so once again, I do apologize if it felt like I was speeding through that whole thing. I'm trying something new. I'm trying to cut off a lot of my excess talking and over explanation. If you guys need to see the playlist with the other multiple choice questions that I've done, I'm going to put a little box there. And if you want to see the manufacturing video, I'm going to put a little box there. And of course, the links in the description below. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And once again, if what you're doing isn't working, then you need to try a different approach there. You need to adapt because change is the only constant. Alright guys, I'll see you next time. Bye.